Hey guys, and welcome back to week 10 of our Excel Masterclass series. Today, we are learning one of the most famous Excel functions out there, the VLOOKUP function. So, if you have ever wanted to search for a data in a table and return its related information, this is your go-to function. And as always, we'll be using our auto sales report to see this in action. So, before we start, what is VLOOKUP? So VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup in Excel. It searches for a value in the first column of a range and then returns a value in the same row from a different column that we specify. So think of it like asking, hey Excel, find this car model and tell me its price. So it's pretty simple, pretty powerful. So let's dive in. Alright, so here's the auto sales report that we have been using for most of our videos in the past for the whole Excel Masterclass series. And there are some very useful functions in Excel that we have already covered. So for today's video, the auto sales report, the data mostly it stays the same. We are using the same table. So now for today's example, what we are going to look at is, for example, let's say I have a sale ID here, and then I want to look at any information related to that sale ID. So let's say I want to look up who was the sales rep for that specific sale, or which car was sold, or what is the customer name, or how much is the price for that sale. So I can look up any information that I have in this table. And for the scenario that we are going to look to here today, I'm using this VLOOKUP results area here, and then all these are the sale ID that I have. So what we are going to look at here is who was the sales rep for each of these sales. So to use the VLOOKUP function, same way like how we call all the different functions in Excel, start by typing equals, and then we will start by typing VLOOKUP, and then you will have that suggestion there. So select the VLOOKUP function, and now in this suggestion area, the first item that you have to do is select the lookup value. So the lookup value here is 1002, so that is our sale ID, and then hit comma. The next item that you have to select is the table array. So now this is my table that I have here, so I'm going to select the whole table and hit comma, and now it's going to ask me for column index. So by default we have given the ID here, and by default it's going to compare the value or look through the whole row in Excel table. So first item, we have given the value that we want to look for the information about, that's the sale ID. We have the whole table selected. So now the column index, for example, let's say you have to check for sales rep. So start from here. Sale ID is column 1, date is column 2, and sales rep is column 3. So select 3. There we go. So sale 1002, the sales rep was Mike. And here, same way, if you wanted to check for sale 1006, we would do the same thing. We look up and give the lookup value, comma, we'll select the table range. So select that table range here, and then column index is going to stay the same, column index 3, and hit enter. Oh, so sale 1006 was also Mike. So that's working, as we can see in the data here. So that is one way how you can use the VLOOKUP function, but there is still something that we can always improve. And before I get into like some of the tips and tricks, I want to point out some of the very common mistakes that people make when using the VLOOKUP functions, so that you guys can avoid those mistakes here. So for example, whenever you're working with VLOOKUP and doing some searches, so the most common mistakes I have seen here is VLOOKUP function that always searches the first column of your range. So whenever you have a value, it is going to start with the first column of your range, and then it's gonna go this side, like it's gonna look throughout the whole row that you have here. Another thing, it can only search the VLOOKUP function, it can only search top to bottom. It does not go backwards. It's gonna start with sale 1001 and it's gonna go all the way to the end. it can never go back. And another one, whenever you are using a static value, let's say for this one here, if I double click and check this formula, whenever you're using a static value here that you want to look at, so that's when try to avoid that mistake by typing in your search criteria. Like I always talk about this information in most of the videos whenever we are working around the functions in Excel. Always try to make your formulas dynamic, so it doesn't change whenever your data changes, or it doesn't actually messes up that cell referencing whenever you are trying to do something. So now how you can actually make your functions work dynamically. So what you can do here is, this is a blank cell that I have here to show the dynamic function that we can use. So instead of typing in any value, what we are going to do here is, this is the cell where you want the final result. So we're going to start with VLOOKUP function, and then where it says lookup value, instead of typing in a value, I'm going to select this cell, and then I'm going to give the table here. And for example, I want to search for, let's say I want to search for customer names now. So this is going to be column 1, 2, 3, and 4. Column 4 is the customer names. So as soon as I have that, I will hit enter, and don't worry, it's gonna return NA because I don't have any value here. So now this formula is cross-referencing to this cell where it's gonna get its value from. So now based on the sale ID, I want to check what the customer name is. So simply what I can do is go ahead and type 1004, for example. So as soon as I put in that value in that cell, the sale ID 1004, and as you can see 1004, the customer name is Alice Johnson. So now you don't actually have to keep changing your formula, go inside and type in that 1004 or any sale ID every time you have to see that. You can simply, if you're working with any spreadsheet, you can simply give this kind of functionality, that if you're searching for something, let's say sale ID 1008, I want to search for 1008, that was Keith M. So that's a very useful way how you can play around with Excel formulas, how you can create dynamic formulas that works really smart and really fast for you. And this always gets exciting when you get into larger and larger data sets. So it's always going to be fun when you're working with dynamic formulas or functions. So that's VLOOKUP, a powerful way to fetch information in your Excel sheets, especially for tasks like price lookups in an auto sales report or any other information. Right now I'm talking about auto sales because we are using that same example. And if you guys found this video helpful, drop a like, leave a comment with your favorite Excel lookup trick, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next week's.